Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another knitting tutorial. In today's tutorial, it's actually going to be a preparation for the tutorial that I have planned next, which will be how to knit a sock. And in that one, we're going to literally learn how to knit a sock from top to bottom. So today I would like to take a look at 3 different techniques that we will need to use to knit a sock that we haven't done before on this channel. So we're going to start with short rows, and for short rows this will be something that you use when you're knitting a sock heel. After that, we're going to learn how to pick up stitches, which you will use at the end of the heel, going into the gusset. And finally today, we're going to learn Kitchener stitch, which is how you graft the toe of a sock together for a top-down sock. All of these techniques are for top-down socks, which are my preference when I'm knitting socks. So let's get started. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so we're going to get started with learning how to do short rows. Here I have kind of a smaller version of what a heel flap on a sock might look like. And at this point, we would be wanting to start our short rows to turn the heel. So we're going to be using the German short row technique, which is my preferred one, and also what you'll see most commonly in top-down sock knitting patterns. So we're going to need our needles. I'm knitting on these double-pointed needles today, which is possibly what you'll be knitting your sock on. We have our yarn. So, to begin our short rows, we're going to slip 1 stitch. We do this because on our heel flap, we slip all the side stitches, which gives us a nice base to pick up into, which will come into play in just a few minutes when I show how to pick up stitches. So we will slip our first stitch, and then we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. We will finish this row by knitting 1, and now you can see we have 3 stitches remaining. But at this point, we're going to turn our work around, and this is why they're called short rows, because it's shorter than a normal row. So we're going to reverse direction. We're going to begin by slipping 1. So we're going to slip the last stitch we knitted onto our right hand needle, and then we're going to purl because we're doing a wrong side row. So in this case, we're going to purl 1. We're going to then purl 2 together, and we'll finish by purling 1. And so now you can see we have 3 stitches here on this side. So we're going to turn our work around once more. We're going to slip our first stitch, and then we're going to knit 2. So you're going to knit each row, you're going to knit or purl one more stitch than you did the last row. If you lose count, you can base it on the fact that there's this nice gap here. You see this gap? You're going to knit to 1 stitch before the gap. So our gap's here, 1 stitch before the gap. And at this point, you're going to close the gap by knitting these 2 stitches together, knitting 1. You'll see we have 1 stitch remaining, and we're going to once again turn our work around. We will slip the stitch we just knit onto our right hand needle, and now we're going to purl, how many? 3, because we just knit 2. Now we're going to purl 1, 2, 3. And you can see we've once again come to 1 stitch before the gap. We'll once again close the gap by purling 2 together. And we're going to finish by purling 1. And we're ready to turn our work again. We'll begin by slipping 1, and then we're going to knit 4, and at this point, here's our gap. We're 1 stitch before our gap. We're going to knit these 2 together, and we don't have any more stitches. We've come to the end of our row. But we still have our gap here, so we have to do the same on that side. We can start by slipping this stitch just to give the edge a nice border. And then we're going to purl into 1 before the gap. This means we're actually only purling 4 stitches. And then we're going to purl 2 together. And we're finished. So let's look at what we have here. You can kind of see this looks like the heel of a sock. Maybe like a baby sock for a doll or something. So you can see we've decreased down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. Previously we had 12 stitches on our needle. And so we have this nice little turn here, and here are the short rows you worked. So the next step for a sock is going to be picking up stitches on the side of the heel flap. Right now I'm just knitting so I can get in position to do that. So, when I mean pick up stitches, what I mean is that we're going to have to create stitches from here where there are currently no stitches. So that's what a pattern means when it says pick up and knit. You're literally going to pick up the V. Let's see if we can see the V's. See this V here? All these little V's, these are our little stitches. They look this way because we slipped the first stitch of every row to make it look really nice on the side, to make it easy to pick up our stitches. So we're going to pick up 1 stitch in each V. So we're going to stick our needle. We're going to stick our needle under the V from front to back. We're going to take our working yarn, wrap it around the needle just like you're knitting, and pull it through. See how that created 1 stitch in that V? Now we're going to move on to the next V and work it in the same manner. I've picked up 2 stitches. Our third V, we're going to stick the needle from front to back, wrap the yarn around like you're knitting, and pull it through. Under the V, wrap the yarn around and pull through. Under the V, wrap the yarn around and pull through. So you can see my nice little stitches that I'm picking up here. We'll go under this V, wrap the yarn around, pull through, and we're going to do this until we get to the end of the row. This will be our last one, I think. I guess we'll do one more. So as you can see here, I've picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 additional stitches. And if we were really knitting a sock, we would do the same thing on this side. That'll be in my next tutorial. So that is how you pick up stitches. So for our final technique today, we're going to learn Kitchener stitch, which is a method of grafting. So when you knit a top-down sock, you're going to be knitting in a circle all the way till the end, and then when you get to the toe, you're going to have some stitches remaining on your needles, kind of like this. And so the best method to close the toe up so you don't have a big hole is to use Kitchener stitch. And this will create a seamless graft, so it'll end up looking exactly like the stockinette stitch that you have on the toe. So for this, I just have this nice kind of continuous piece of yarn, and we're just going to graft it together. So for this, we're obviously going to need 2 needles. We're going to need some darning needles. I have a whole container of them here. In various sizes. Ranging from very small, I think that's actually a sewing needle, very small. Normally I would use one of these needles, these 3 small ones, to graft for socks, but today we're going to use one of these bigger ones because I have some bigger yarn. This one has just like a little point at the end that goes up there. I think some people just like working better with that. I honestly don't have a preference. So, when you come to this point in your knitting and you're ready to graft, you want to cut the tail of your yarn so it's no longer attached to the ball. I like to give myself a pretty generous tail, just in case. But for this, I mean, I think I have 9 stitches we're going to graft together, so it probably doesn't need to be this long. And so what you're going to do, I'm sorry about my dog snoring. We're going to stick the end of the yarn through the needle like so. And then we're going to line up our pieces so that the right side is facing out and the wrong side is facing in. We're going to move the stitches up towards the tips of the needle. So we're going to begin by inserting our darning needle into the top stitch on the front needle as if to knit, just like that. And we're going to pull that stitch off the top needle and pull. Next, we're going to insert the darning needle onto the next stitch on the front needle as if to purl. So down, and we're going to leave the stitch on the needle. Pull through. Next, we'll go to our back needle. We'll insert our darning needle into the top stitch as if to purl, so down, and pull it off the needle. Pull through. Next, we'll insert the darning needle into the next stitch on the back needle as if to knit, and we will leave this stitch on the needle. So that's your Kitchener stitch. You're just going to repeat those 4 things until you're done. So let's do it again. Stitch on the front needle, insert your darning needle as if to knit, and pull the stitch off the needle. Make sure your yarn doesn't get caught on your knitting. Next, on the front needle, we'll insert as if to purl, but leave the stitch on the needle. Next, we'll move to the back needle, insert the yarn needle as if to purl, and remove the stitch from the needle. Pull, and then again on the back needle, insert the yarn needle as if to knit, but leave the stitch on the needle. I like to pull, but not too snugly. There's always room for you to tighten it later, but I like to keep it a little bit loose to make sure it doesn't look cinched. So, front needle, like you're knitting, pull the stitch off the needle. Front needle, as if you're purling, leave the stitch on the needle. Back needle, as if you're purling, remove the stitch. Back needle, as if you're knitting, leave the stitch on. I know it looks a little funny now, but you'll see it'll look better when we're finished. Let's go back to our front needle. Insert the needle as if to knit. Remove it. Insert the needle as if to purl. Leave it on the needle. Back needle as if to purl. Remove it. Back needle as if to knit. Leave it. Front needle as if to knit. Remove the stitch. Front needle as if to purl. Leave it on. Back needle as if to purl. Remove the stitch. My tail's stuck. There we go. Back needle as if to knit. Leave it on the needle. So we have 4 left. We'll finish this out. front, knit, slip off, front, purl, leave on. It's actually a lot easier to do this with a sock because it's not so tiny, so you won't get your yarn stuck like I'm doing right now. Back, as if to purl, remove. Oh my god. Back as if to knit, leave it on. See if I can make this go away. There we go. Our remaining 3 stitches, we're going to insert as if to knit and remove the stitch. Insert as if to purl, leave it on. Back needle, insert as if to purl, remove the stitch. Don't get your yarn stuck. Back needle as if to knit, leave it on. Front needle as if to knit, remove the stitch. Front needle as if to purl, leave on the stitch. Back needle as if to purl, remove. And back needle as if to knit, leave it on. So now you'll see only 2 stitches are remaining. That means we're going to perform kind of an abbreviated version. So we're going to insert as if to knit and remove it. Oh my god. There we go. And now we're done with this needle. Now insert as if to purl. Also remove it. And we can pull through. So now you can see here. Okay, so my stitches at the beginning are a little loose and have big holes. However, you can see after that, it looks almost like seamless stockinette stitch. You can barely tell. You can only tell a little bit because the stitches are kind of like off-center from each other, right? But it creates a really nice seamless edge for your sock toe. And at this point, you just kind of tighten things up. You can go through and fix this hole by kind of adjusting the tension of the yarn here. And then you can just weave in your ends however you like to do that. I usually like to just kind of go up the side a little bit. So that the sock, or whatever this thing is, doesn't unravel. And then you would cut your yarn tail and have your nice little, whatever this is. So that was your kind of basic techniques of some of the techniques we'll need in order to knit socks like these. So in our next tutorial, we're going to learn a sock that's very similar to this one, just a really basic red cuff, mostly stockinette foot. You can see our heel here, that's what we learned today. And then the toe, Kitchener stitch toe. So, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. and that it prepares you for learning how to knit a sock with me next time. And I hope you all have a really great evening, a really great day or night, and a happy knitting time. Bye.